If you spent way too long on Pimp My Gun by Dr. Noob, then this might be the series for you. Welcome to episode 1 of Roast Your Build. One of the staple series of this channel is Roast Your Kit, but I wanted to give an opportunity to you guys to showcase some of the awesome builds you've worked on, whether they're real, Airsoft replica, or somewhere in between. And before we get started, you might want to know what qualifies me to roast your builds. And the truth is, absolutely nothing. I love building clone builds, modern to old school, but I love to see all different kinds of flavors of things, so all of this is purely my opinion. And it doesn't necessarily have to be replicating a real build either. So if you want to see yours in the next episode, episode 2, which will come out in mid-June, send it to me by June 15th to TGLEntries@gmail.com. All I want are some cool rifle pistol build pics and a list of some of the highlights that you want me to share, as well as, of course, your Instagram or whatever handle you want me to plug. Because, to be honest, this is a show about you guys and showcasing the awesome work you do. As always, stick to the end if you want to see my absolute favorite, and let's jump right into Roast Your Build episode 1. The first one comes from Longshot, and here is, I would say, the most airsoftery recce build I think I've ever seen. You could walk onto any airsoft field in the United States on any given weekend and see at least 3 to 4 of these, even if it's a CQB arena. You have a Navrich SSR-4, a Magpul looking mag, you have a PEC box suppressor and LPVO, and again, you call it a recce build. Someone has been way too influenced by Garandum and Navrich on here. For my personal flavor of things, I don't know if I would ever run something like this. Again, I try to build out kits and I love creating clone rifles, but this is just like peak airsoft to me. So I'm gonna give this one a, what's my rating system? I should have thought about this before. I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 broken gearboxes. Maybe it's functional, it probably is, but definitely not my flavor. The next one comes from Battosai. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And this is a really cool build actually. Here we have his Steyr AUG A3 M1. And truth be told, when I first got into airsoft and all the gun stuff, I loved the Steyr AUG. Something was wrong with me as a child, but I really, I haven't hated it ever since. It's not like my favorite, and I definitely wouldn't buy one or run one, but it's really cool to see. It's not appreciated, and I think it's cool that you have one and you're running one. You have the nylon body, you say you have a TM upper, a claw gear rail, but what's really cool is the internals. You've put in a Polarstar F2 engine, and I'm sure that thing rips, especially with that very long inner barrel. On such a compact package, you must get some great performance out of that. Speaking of, you definitely did your work in. You said that you 3D printed the gearbox and an M4 magwell. I would be really interested to see how you did this, whether it's on like a forum post, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, because I'm sure someone out there would love to do this as well. Overall, Batto, it's not a bad build. I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. Again, I wouldn't personally run one, but it's cool and unique and you get props there. The next one comes from another HPA enthusiast, AZ Airpower. Now, if you haven't checked out or heard of AZ Airpower before, he does some very impressive custom work with engravings. And if you want to clone a build properly, you're gonna need some proper marking. So this is the guy to reach out to do it. And here we have what looks like another airsoft functional build, but let's talk about the details he has. He's got a VFC base with a laser engraved upper and lower with the L119A2 markings. He's also running a Polarstar, this time it's a Kythera, and he's got a whole slew of internal and external upgrades. Some from Magpul, some from GMP, Airsoft Artisan, things like that. It's a very airsoft functional build, it looks like. Kind of like if GBRS wanted to try airsoft or something. I don't know. I don't really follow them. Hopefully that wasn't an insult. But I love the color scheme you have going on here with the different tans. Now, a lot of people don't like when things are mismatched. I, for one, am totally okay with a little bit of wonkiness, and the different colors look really slick. And what's very interesting is that handguard. It looks like it doesn't have the rail sections on the side. I personally have never seen that. I'm not really into the M4 sphere until you get to like vintage retro stuff. But yeah, that's kind of cool actually. The sight and everything is very low profile. Looks slim, looks effective, and I'm sure it rips on the field. I'm going to stick with a 4.5 out of 5 on this one because it's cool. Again, not my flavor, but I think he made a nice build. Goober Actual sends in an absolutely cursed build. Maybe for more things than not, but it's kind of cool actually. Let's take a look at it though. Here you have an IDF Grenadier clone build. So automatic brownie points for making a clone here. That handguard though, way throws me off. I don't think I've ever seen one chopped down to that short. It's an interesting look, but it definitely confuses me a bit because I'm used to that being on the full M16, like the Scarface one. But in your build, you have a GHK 12.5-inch M4. And oh man, I've never shot a GHK, but that is on my bucket list of airsoft things to do. Super cool that you have a gas blowback base. You don't see a lot of those done properly. You have an M203 Shorty handguard, which is real, super cool, and a Cybergun M203. Underbarrel grenade launchers, based. You have some other real parts on here, including your stock and pistol grip, and an ITL Mars optic laser combo. You say it's technically not kosher for the modern kit, but you wanted some IR light for night usage, which I totally understand. If you just showed me this build and didn't say it was a clone, I would say it looks perfect. If you did tell me it was a clone, I would also say it looks perfect. I can't tell the difference because I'm not into this stuff, but it looks really well done, and it looks functional, cool clone build, uses the weird stuff, 5 out of 5 in my book, Gear.Locker classic, I'll say. Alpine Frogs really tried to get the brownie points with me with showcasing some G36 builds. I picked one of his in particular, and this is his full-length G36 A2. Or is it an A1? I don't know anymore. I'm just so focused on the A4s. Again, brownie points with the underbarrel grenade launcher. That dual optic, as much as it sucks, is really cool to have and see. And you running that full-length barrel is definitely impressive. In Airsoft, there's no need to have a barrel length that long unless you're doing a copy build, which I love here, so cool stuff there. Overall, because it's a G36 and I'm terribly biased, I'm gonna give this one a 5 out of 5. Nice job, Alpine Frogs. Let's keep going though. The next one almost took the top spot. There's something that I thought was a little bit cooler, but this gun was pretty unique, but also not unique at the same time. This comes from Phillip R, and he sends in an HPA Colt 9mm build. I've shot a real one of these, and it's a lot of fun. I believe it was actually 45 though. But this is kind of neat. He said he was hoping to make it look like the Colt 9mm ARs with the straight mags and the gas deflector from the real thing. He's using a TM-MWS build, base with an AirTac MP5 adapter. I didn't know that they made them for gas blowback, so cool there. You're running a real BCM grip and a Colt 6951 gas deflector and dust cover. Your repro stuff includes the Car 15 stock, the PEC 15, a Trijicon, Knights foregrip, and Surefire M600B. It is a really kind of cool look, and I would love to take this to a field sometime. It looks like it's got a good amount of kick to kind of fit the 9mm vibe, but it's also short and effective enough to really get some tight corners in an urban environment. So I think this is pretty cool, Phillip. I like it. I would run it. I was gonna give it a 5 out of 5, but the little HPA thing sticking out of the magwell kind of weirds me out. I don't know how I would feel comfortably like running that. Then again, I've never run HPA, so it's a 4.5 for me, but only because of my personal bias. You did a great job on this. Looks cool, man. The next build comes from a Roast Your Kit winner of the most previous episode, and this is Fabian. He sends in his G36 KA4 build. Same. Now, the G36 KA4 is somewhat challenging to clone because of so many different nuanced things, especially in an AEG form. And he did it really well. And in fact, he wrote a whole guide on how to do it. So if you want to go find it, I'll link it down below. It's a forum post, but it's kind of comprehensive, and it's similar to the one that I did, although both of us do things a little bit differently. So I would encourage you to read both, especially if you want to build one of these yourself. Here, he's got a ton of awesome parts, including the H key, the IDZ top rail, and stock. And a really cool detail that he did was making the markings on the grip. For the KA4, it's got sort of like grip bumps, so to speak, and it's not really easy to replicate in an airsoft form, especially because if you use like skateboard grip tape, it's a little too rough, so you gotta sand it down. He mentions exactly how he does it in his guide. Again, I would recommend you checking it out, and that's honestly something I'm probably gonna try to do just to take this to the next level. Fabian, it's a 5 out of 5, of course, because you hit me with a good KA4 build. Nice job, man. The next one is another G36. I got too many of those G36 fans on this channel, but this one is from Marcel Dieguez. Hopefully I pronounced it right, but here are a bunch of builds. I decided to include them all because they're all kind of unique in their own flavors, but I wanted to highlight one of them. These are all G36, not clones, but things that he deems are functional. And the top two are gas blowback, with the bottom one being AEG, and I want to hone in on that middle one. The one part of that middle one that stands out to me the most is that UTG top rail. Those are not commonly seen, but they were used by some real KSK operators. Privately purchased kind of thing and slapped on. This is before like the IDZ program really kicked off that you'll see these. It's a much lower profile optic rail, and it looks really cool. And you can tell just by that little slant towards the main center of the receiver body, whereas on the one above it, that IDZ style rail, or the one below it, it's a flat cut. So it stands out and it's kind of cool. I'm going to give you a 4 out of 5 just because clearly you can't decide, although they're all very similar. But that UTG rail is really cool. So nice job. Jake C sends in the first AK build of Roast Your Build episode 1. And this is a Zenitco styled SEMA Platinum AKM. Now, I'm not personally a big fan of the AKMs or the AK-74s or almost any AK really. But This one looks really functional and really cool. You're running the LCT RK6, a DTK2 muzzle brake, Surefire style pressure pad system, MOC M600, I'm not sure what, I've never heard of that, and a Novrich LPVO. Oh my God, we cannot escape the Novrich LPVO. Ugh. If you change that to something maybe a little more accurate for the Russian stuff, unless Russians are using Airsoft rebrand optics, then I think this build would be really cool. I'm gonna have to be really mean because of it. I would probably put this at a 3 out of 5, but maybe it's just a functional thing for you. So I can't dog you there. Again, I'll stick with a 3 out of 5, but it's not bad overall. Not something personally I would run or buy. Now the next two builds that we have are CAG 416 builds, and they're also kind of similar. So let's start with one from Woo's SPO6. And here, he has a 416D CAG build. He lists out a ton of parts. So while you guys take a look at the pictures and oogle over the cool stuff he has, I'm just gonna straight up read it off, because he did plug a ton of companies in it. He's running a Sistema PTW Max gearbox and steel cylinder, an E-Tiny full electronic, DIIPS hop-up chamber with a lambda barrel and maple leaf bucking, Magpul CTR stock, FMA LaRue RISR, which is unfortunately not original, Fight Club Custom MOE grip, an Evolution Gear Vortex Razor HD, Somo Gear LA5, a Surefire M600, Magpul MOE grip, HOA Airsoft SF556 RC suppressor with a glass breaker, Rambo P-Mag, and a 06 custom gear padded sling, and a few small parts. But this is a well-researched build, looks ultra functional, looks really cool, and I don't know, it's an easy 5 out of 5 because this is something I would love to run. The difference in colors between the body and the plastic, all the stuff that HK does and all the accessories you can get with it makes for a beautiful block of peanut butter. It's awesome. Nice build, 5 out of 5 in my book. But there's another 416 build that we gotta check out, and this one is from Vince Nevermind. And to be honest, it kind of is the same thing. But this one is from E&C, so he's using an E&C 416D build that he modified with a crane style stock, Shekin Gangsta grip, Wasden Surefire lamp and Engall, Holy Warrior, replica Wilcox riser, replica EOTech and magnifier, Surefire suppressor was part of the stock replica, and sticker markings. And he does have some things that he's working on in progress, but this is the AG budget version of the one from Woo's SPO6, and still personally, I would run it. Vince did a great job on this build, and it looks functional. What more can you say? I'll give this one a 4 out of 5 in my book, just because you said you had some things you want to improve, but it's a great build, man. Nice job. Now, before we get to the winner of Roast Your Build Episode 1, which is a big thing because it's the first one, if you want to get yours featured in the next episode, just as you've seen here, send me it by June 15th to TGLEntries@gmail.com. All that information will be down below. I need pictures of your replica build, a short list, and any media you want to plug. That's it. But let's jump into the final build and the final winner of Roast Your Build Episode 1. And this one's coming from Sterling Lamb, and he totally takes it old school with one of my favorite style builds of all time, a Black Hawk Down Delta style build. Here we go with the Colt 723. Now, this is not without fault, but because I love this build so much and I just did a video on the channel, I wanted to put this at the top spot because it's pretty cool. You're running a Car 15 Type 3 style stock, nice detail there, not the Type 2, with a correct style pad. You do see a couple other pad versions in the Delta builds, but this is one that is good to go. Looks like you have an A2 lower and an A2 upper. Oh, wait, maybe I misspoke, not a 723, maybe a 727 build. If you wanted to make it a 723, swap that over to an A1 upper. But you're running an MGW optic rail there and an Aimpoint 5000. I think that helps this build overall because that's a really cool optic. I run the 3000 and the 5000 is also iconic for these styles. You have these slim handguards and that suppressor, which is another thing that made me put this at the top spot. Getting one of those suppressors, replica or real, is very challenging. So the fact that you were able to do it here and integrate it well into your build is bonus points right there. And you're running the Ready Mag system. There are 4 gripes with this build that I think you would have a good time swapping. No real challenge there. Let's talk about them. This is still taking the cake for my top spot because I love this build, but let's go through them. Number 1, that Ready Mag system is not clone correct. It is not clone correct on mine either, but it looks to be like an Airsoft one. I would love it if it was a real one, and one of the old style ones that has that same divot in that mag release bar, but doesn't have the bolt release button. On the originals from that 93, 92 Delta era, they didn't have that. Swapping that over to the older one without that would be nice. Of course, you have that upper receiver, but on the lower receiver, I would also get rid of those white markings. The clean, no white, just engraved markings are a lot more clone correct, and that would just kind of clean up the side of that rifle replica. And the last thing, which is a trope I see all too commonly in Airsoft and replica Black Hawk Down builds, is attaching your light, which I believe is a Surefire 6P. If not, it's a Surefire 660. Not sure. I have the laser product 6P on mine. Slightly different style, but let me know what you've got here. This one should not be attached to the barrel. In fact, all of the builds from the Mogadishu timeframe were on the handguard. You could either attach it underneath or on that top corner, so I would highly recommend doing that. But I've torn apart this build way too much. It's an awesome, highly aesthetic build, and I love it. You did a great job on all of these details, with the exception of the few I mentioned, so hopefully send it in again if you'd like. And a bonus from this submitter, from Sterling, he also sent an MP5 build, also rocking that aim-point optic and a light and the handguard. Very cool, man. Sterling, congratulations on the win for episode 1 of Roast Your Build. Again, send in your submissions to tglentries@gmail.com, and we'll see you all in the next one.